What is going on, everybody? Welcome back here to the channel. I'm Sean Davis. Make sure you guys hit the thumbs up button as hard as you possibly can. I need a little bit of time after the Lakers lost last night to the Timberwolves, eliminating themselves from the playoffs. Timberwolves in 5. Again, just a miss on my part in predicting the series. And give credit where credit is due to the Timberwolves. But now kind of starts a long offseason for the Lakers. Consecutive seasons being eliminated in the first round. Last year, obviously losing to Denver, and then this year now losing to the Minnesota Timberwolves in round one. I wanted to kind of use this video to talk about some of the things I think that went wrong for this year for the Lakers in this series and where that kind of puts the Lakers at heading into next season. I want to start this off though by making two critical points, I think. And I'm saying this especially after kind of seeing, I don't know how Twitter's kind of reacted to the loss and how they've kind of critiqued some things from the series. I think number one, that Austin Reaves did not have a good series, right? I think there is a massive overcorrection going on as regards to AR, where Austin Reaves had a great regular season. And I think honestly, it's kind of hard. I still don't have a great gauge, I feel, on what Austin Reaves' ceiling is as a player. I still don't have a great gauge on that. I still kind of like what I said in the past, that I think he could be an all-star caliber offensive player. I still kind of stand by that. But I think that there's a massive overcorrection going on right now with Austin, in the sense that there are people that like thought he was on the same tier of a player as a Tyrese Halliburton, for example. And now they're kind of overcorrecting and now saying, oh my God, trade AR. He's useless. He's not a fit next to Luka, and yada, 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 yada. Where no, I think you're just overcorrecting, you're overreacting, because how Austin Reaves had a subpar playoff series. He still averaged 16, 5, and 4 on bad efficiency, 53% true shooting. Couldn't ever really get the three ball rolling for himself in this series. Shot 32% from three. Gonna pull up his pull up data, catch shoot data here in a moment. But again, just objectively, just not a great offensive series for Austin Reaves. But with that being the case, I don't think you panic and overreact and make all these crazy judgments about Austin, where I actually think that he is a good fit next to Luka offensively. I think you just have to build a capable roster around him, around Luka. And that's something that JJ and Rob Pelinka has said, is very, very, very much their thought process and kind of their plan. Rob Pelinka saying on the Lakers offseason that one of their primary goals is to be able to add size in the front court at the center position. Rob Pelinka also said beyond adding a center, the Lakers are looking to improve defensively, particularly on the wings. So that's what I well as the Lakers, some of the Lakers' key points of needing addressed, if that makes sense. So that's the first thing. Don't overreact to Austin having a bad series. I still think all good fit next to Luka offensively. And again, like I said, I don't think there's a need to overreact. There's no need to overreact to Austin or overcorrect, if you will, because I think that's honestly a lot of what's going on with Austin Reaves. And then the second thing I want to address JJ Redick. And part of this he's kind of brought on himself. But part of it, I also kind of understand where he's coming from. Some of the recent stuff that we've seen from Twitter, or some of the questions he's gotten recently. And I do think there's been a tone shift from JJ in the last month or so in terms of his responses to the media. I think he has been a little bit more agitated. I think he has been a bit more harsh in his responses as the pressure and intensity has picked up. And I think that will come with time. I think, the more and more he gets used to these adverse situations, I think he'll better handle the media. But to a certain extent, man, like, for example, the question he really, really got pissed off at prior to game 5 was talking about, like, and he has a point to a certain extent. I forgot who, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not even criticizing the reporter that asked the question. It was basically like, do you consult your assistant coaches when making decisions? And, like, to a certain extent, I kind of see where JJ is coming from in his frustration. Like, why are you asking that? Why wouldn't I consult my assistants? Because even though I disagree with his decision to play everybody the entire second half, that's not a question. Like, you're not, let's say that's Doc Rivers that makes that decision. You're not asking Doc Rivers that question. Like, you did, to a certain extent, ask JJ Redick that question because he's an inexperienced head coach. And for somebody that's been an inexperienced head coach, and this is a key part of what I'm about to say at the end, that in the grand scheme of things really overachieved this season, I think. In a lot of ways, actually. I think he kind of underperformed in some areas too that we'll talk about. But, like, I think some of the frustration, some of it, I think it's valid because to a certain extent, like, we weren't questioning me 2 weeks ago when we were, I was getting coach of the year talk. And now some of that I think is more so from the fan base, but I'm more so talking about this from JJ's point of view that I could kind of see where he's coming from. Like, we weren't questioning me 2 weeks ago. Or I wasn't, like, you're not basically asking me this question 2 weeks ago. And I get it. It's coming off the backbones of a very questionable decision, but there's been a lot of questionable decisions JJ's made this season. So why are we asking me this now? And again, like, I think JJ in more adverse situations will get better at dealing with the media. But I also think too, we got to know, guys, JJ, you can't convince me otherwise. JJ he is online. He is still very much online. So I think JJ does see a lot of the stuff that gets floated around. Even for me, I have in my own right been critical of a certain extent of JJ Redick. I still stand on this, though. As much as I think that there were a lot of things JJ can get better at, absolutely, he was a rookie head coach. I think JJ is still the guy going forward. I think he really, really overachieved this season in almost every way possible, especially post-January, outside of, like, offensive coaching. I think that is the biggest gripe with JJ. I think he was not a great offensive coach, especially post-Luka trade. And that's a him thing. That's something he can acknowledge and work on. And he has acknowledged and said, "Look, I'm gonna be able to work. I'm gonna be better." So I still think he's the guy. I still think he's the guy long term. I know that they still internally love JJ. And I'm still excited. I'm excited to see what the future looks like with JJ Redick. Now, what's next for the Lakers? I think they have a huge offseason going forward because the Lakers this summer are going to have to balance that this is the first offseason where we get to really build around Luka Doncic, who has his own question marks in his own right after this playoff series that I'm not even going to address on this video, probably be his own separate video. He has his own question marks that he's got to deal with, but this is our first offseason building around him. This is the first real offseason JJ Redick gets, while also at the same time, we are actively in the last year, maybe year, not years. You're in the last year, maybe years left with LeBron James. So how are we able to find a balance of being able to maximize both the fact that this is probably LeBron's last year and maximize the fact that, like, we are trying to build around Luka Doncic. So that's what's next. The big spot is a big deal for this Lakers team, pun intended. And then how do we add more versatility and athleticism along the wings and in the backcourt especially with Luka being our primary initiator. Dave McMenamin from ESPN said Pelinka says that I think LeBron is going to have high expectations for the roster. We're going to do whatever we can to meet them. Let's see. Despite the first round accident, less than stellar performances to varying degrees for all three, Rob Pelinka has made it clear several times today that he believes in the core of LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reaves as a leader of this team heading into next season. So again, I would almost take out any. I've kind of been pretty consistent about this as well. I do not think that Austin Reaves gets traded. It would stun me beyond belief if they traded Austin Reaves. It would have to be like legit for a superstar caliber player. And Rob Pelinka predicts a offseason full of player movement around the entire league. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what this offseason looks like for the Lakers. I think the biggest reason why the Lakers lost in the grand scheme of things is the fact that they just don't have any line of versatility. They don't. And I think that's why addressing the wing spot and getting more 3-and-D guys and then also adding a legitimate big to this roster is something that can really, really, really be big for this team heading into next season. So, guys, didn't end the way we wanted, but I think the Lakers are still in a good enough spot to where they can head into next season and feel good about themselves. So make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button. I want to thank you guys as well. Year one, kind of betting on myself. We already hit 15,000 subscribers. I really, really appreciate it. If you are new, turn on post notification bells as well. We'll do a live stream at some point in the coming days as well to talk some trade options, free agency preview, stuff like that. Really, really excited for the offseason content that we're going to do here on the channel. So that being said, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay safe. Go Lake Show. Peace out.